Hi, this is Ardalan Bilavizadeh. Thanks for following me on YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about when we can start the saffron farming. What is the month? Exactly in these months, we are starting the June. Tomorrow is the June, first of the June. And the best time for starting. Now, which months? Because in the July, August, and the maximum in September. In the September, we have the time for the buying the saffron bulbs in the northern hemisphere. In northern hemisphere, the majority of countries are located in the northern hemisphere, like the India, European country. The southern hemisphere, exactly like the country that I'm living in, the Australia, South Africa, and Indonesia. In the three countries that they are starting the saffron farming, I can tell you, South Africa and Australia, they are active in the saffron farming, and Indonesia. But in the northern hemisphere, that the majority of you located in this country, the best time is the June, July, August. Why? Because there is not any activity in these months. Because in the June, you cannot buy the saffron bulb because it's not ready, the process of the propagation. The bulbs didn't finish their growth period. And if any person give you a price about the saffron bulb, it's completely wrong. How? When the saffron bulb is not completed, the growth period, how a company can claim, okay, I have the saffron bulb? Because anybody doesn't harvest the saffron bulb from the ground, from the shelf, because it's not. The end of the June, okay, when we finish the June, okay, then the best time for the harvesting the saffron bulb. And in the July, August, they are the time that you can buy the saffron bulb. And in the September, this is your deadline for, even in the September, throughout the September, you can buy the saffron bulb, but it's a deadline months for the buying the saffron bulbs. In the October, all the bulbs, included the sprout, and I don't recommend to buy the first time. But in July, because this is your time. You know, if we consider you want to buy the saffron bulbs in the September, therefore you will have 3 months time for the buying the saffron bulbs. Because there is not any bulbs, therefore it's the best time for example, in the June and July, you can prepare the building, and in the August you can equip with the air handling unit, with the shelves, with the roofs, house, with the plastic duct, thermometers, CO2 meters, light system, and the access room, and the irrigation tank, and other things, chiller, boiler, and like this. But in the June and July, the best time is for the building. If you have any, I think 2 months is suitable. If you can start it in the one small room, in the bedroom, in your bathroom, even in the toilet, any place that you have access, garage, parking, in your roof, on your roof, okay, you can be the building. For example, if you want to in the roof, you need to the extra ceiling. This you can do even in the 3 weeks, you can do it with the profile, like the 2x2, 2x4, you can build, and a temporary building for starting. For example, you can start in your bedroom, or your roof, or your garage, or parking, in the smallest scale. Then, if you receive the successful result, you can continue with a comfortable mind. You can start in the biggest scale. Therefore, I recommend don't lose this time. This is a very important time, June, July, August, because if you don't provide, you should postpone this process to the next year, and you lost the best experience in the trial experiments. Therefore, if you have the time, if you consider you want to buy the saffron bulb in the September, June and July, you can do building. If you have any bedroom, you can do it with the polyester roll, you can do it with the panel, you can because all of you have access to the garage and the building. But you should divide them. For example, if you have the big house, in the hall, for example, the bedroom, you can divide and convert it to your house, because the house is a numerous small, for example, 20 meters, 15 meters toilet, bathroom. you can close all these and only use for example, the main room, that the dining hall, for example, you can use it. But if you want, for example, you want to live to the house, or you want to use one of the room, also is possible. For example, if this is your house, okay, if this is your house, you have the, for example, extra bedroom, and you can live and use one of the bedroom in this. You can use one of the parking. But for this room, if the building, you should because all the in the urban area, all the ceiling is near the 3.7. Okay, but you don't have any problem with the control of the temperature and the humidity. Therefore, the majority of house between the 2.7 to 3.5 is suitable. But we don't have any house that the ceiling over the 5 meters, because already I told you the building, the rooms that has more than the 5 meters is not suitable for the saffron bar farming, because you cannot control the temperature even in the countries like the India or Arabic country, or the very cold region like the Canada and some region in America. Therefore, you can use one of the room, okay, for the building. But if you have only one ground, okay, even if you have the enough workers, I believe that even in the 2 months, June, July, you can complete the building. For example, 100 meters from the ground. Therefore, you need to do contact with the architecture or a person that build with enough worker, you can build in the 100 meters. But for 100 meters, if you consider in the smaller scale, start the saffron farming, it doesn't need, for example, very professional like air handling unit. It doesn't need you buying the boiler, the chiller, the panel. Okay, in the smaller scale, for example, 20 meters, you can easily in the 2 or 3 weeks with a simple air conditioner. You know, this is not suitable air AC or the simple normal air conditioner that uses in the offices. I don't recommend for the starting, but for the smaller scale, you don't have any option. You cannot for only 20 meters buy air handling unit, because you lose all your money for this. Therefore, start with a very even that is working for your house, for the warming and the cooling your house. I don't know, for example, central heating, central cooling, simple cooler AC. You can use it for the drying. Okay, it's much better than not doing nothing. Therefore, I recommend you can I think in the 2 or 3 months you can easily prepare for the smaller scale. And I told you, no worry. And with this, even with the chefs that uses in the parking, you can start this saffron farming. But if you want to from the ground, completely empty of the ground, yes, you are forced that uses standards, because you are put the money, because the building from the only empty ground needs to you should the standard. If you want to yourself build it, please go with the standards and pay enough money. Like the panel, for example, in the standard for the insulation, you can use the panel that uses in the refrigerator. We have the panel with the density. Density is the 42 density, the best for the saffron farm. Exactly that used in the refrigerator you can use. But in this case, because all the house is with the polyester and not the panel, and some their level is lower than the panel, standards panel. But anyway, it is important you should control the temperature. You have the availability, and you should have the ability to control between the 9 centigrade to 25 centigrade. This is the range of the saffron farming needs. When you start this process, in the August is the best time for the buying the saffron bulb. Why? Because in the August, July, usually in the June is not suitable time. I don't recommend in the June you buy the saffron bulbs, because there is not any bulbs, because the best bulbs usually don't harvest the farmers in the June. But in the July I started. In the July, when the beginning after selling the saffron bulbs, the price is very high. Okay, but usually end of the August, because they have a lot of for example, the stock, sometimes the saffron bulb in their stock, maybe the price will be decreased. But in some cases, you should be, some of the best companies usually sold out even in the July. Okay, sometimes this happen. You know, I'm sharing with you the only that is experienced during my 20 years experience. Some of them, if the person wait till the August, the price usually lower than the July. Even in the beginning of the September, even the price. But some cases we have the lack of the saffron bulbs due to the bad weather, due to the lack of the rain, the warm weather. In the winter, we have with the lack of the saffron bulbs. Therefore, even in the July, all the saffron bulbs will be sold out. If you buy in the best saffron bulbs, the best saffron bulb always have a lack of the saffron bulb. But this is your hand. You know, if you chose your company, it's much better you should share and share your idea with the company. Okay, I want to buy saffron bulb. Do you have availability in the August or in the September? If for example, if they mention, okay, the bulb may be sold out, you can pre-order in the beginning of the July, not the June. Beginning of the July, you can pre-order your saffron, but receive your saffron bulb end of the August. Okay, you can pre-order, not receiving the saffron bulbs, because maybe your building is not ready, your equipment is not ready. Therefore, you can talk, and the best company usually they have the standard start, they control the condition like the temperature, humidity, and the CO2. And pre-order in the July and receive the bulbs in the August or beginning of the September. If in the beginning of September you receive the saffron bulb, because some company in the September, okay, we want to close and we don't have any capacity for the storing, because the best company, when you pre-order, maximum 2 months store the saffron bulb. Maybe share with you, okay, please, we are forced that send you your order, we cannot keep. Even in the September you receive and you don't have any building equipment, no worry about that. You can start with temporary shelves. In my book, completely mentioned how you can keep the saffron bulb when your shelf is not ready. Even with this condition, you can 1 month or 1.5 months keep the saffron bulb till your shelf is ready, till your air handling unit is ready. This is a temporary. You can put all together with a very small scale. You can put, for example, for 100 meters, for 200 square meters. Therefore, my recommendation is the best time August. But if I couldn't buy the saffron bulbs even in the September, in the October, I don't recommend in the October, because very risky activity. You should finish the all process. This is the official process. In the July, you should finish and receive in the beginning of September. Even end of the September you have time, but in the October, because this is the nature of the saffron bulbs, they start the October, automatically they start the activity and sprout will appear. When sprout is appear, changing the room condition, it will be a big problem and the flowering will be decreased. But what about the southern hemisphere, like the Australia and South Africa? In the February and the January, exactly, you should assume that July is the February, and the July and August is the January and February. But in the southern hemisphere, the best time for buying the saffron bulb is the February. In February, the best time for buying the saffron bulbs. Thank you.